peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
It is ridiculous and it is against the laws of nature that we can have somebody sitting pretty who takes home more money than the credible entrepreneur who is doing actual production of goods and services.
We always say it as it is.
It is only in this country that when a thief is arrested, you hear elders from their tribe saying, "He is our son and he is our thief."
If you are deviant
Yes.
and I call you leader, probably you are already a leader, but you are leading in the wrong direction.
We want to see the role of the youth
Yeah.
in the security,
Yes.
governance,
Yes.
and development.
The youth that I meet and work with here, you know, we call them the millennials and X's and Y's, this and that. They don't necessarily want to live like their fathers and grandfathers,
Yes.
do business like their fathers and grandfathers. They're more independent, they're better educated, and they're the ones that are making everything move in this region.
We look at the issues, we talk about issues that impact people's lives in Africa.
The African peoples themselves continue to cheer bad leaders, and because they cheer them on, they continue to be misled.
Let me ask you, doctor, would you rather be somebody who does not enjoy so much freedom but you are rich?
Yes.
Or you'd rather be poor who you are actually imprisoned by the poverty itself?
My goal is not to come here and say, I want the majority ownership, I want to own this, I want to own that, I want to do this. My goal is we all make money and we're all happy, and I help build a big business here.
Punchline is for Africa, with Africa, from Africa.
Viewers, good morning. This morning, I want to address the issue of Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy. The legacy of His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya keeps on moving, keeps on going forward and forward. Since the handshake in 2018, that brought about the peace, the tranquility, the unity of purpose, President Uhuru's star has been rising. All over Africa, people are thinking of using the model that Kenya used to stop any form of violence, chaos on the streets after elections. As you know, all of you are aware that elections in Africa produce two things: after or before or after the voting. Disputed elections, winner takes it all, loser doesn't accept the results. But the Kenyan model takes us miles and miles away from the normal type of democracy. The democracy, a negotiated format, a consensus format. A democracy that gives consensus a chance. A democracy that talks about the future of a country, the unity of a country, as opposed to a fragmented country, polarized country, where most African countries find themselves in. We have seen in the last 10 years or so, most of the elections in Africa have been contested by the opposition. Very few people in Africa, countries in Africa, where opposition has conceded defeat and come up to congratulate the winner. We have seen the South African model has worked very well. The Ghanaian model has worked so well. I don't see any other country in Africa where the models have worked well. I thought it would be Sierra Leone, but today we see Sierra Leone going back to the same ethnic tensions, as you can see from the reports that are circulating in the international media and the local media. So elections in Africa are contentious issues. The contentious position create a departing point for the people of Africa, of that particular nation. The legacy of Uhuru Kenyatta, therefore, will be remembered for having brought the tranquility that we have today, the peace, the new format, the new tool of having a better organized civil Africa, an Africa without violence, an Africa without chaos after elections, when the opposition accepts to work for the interests of a nation, not personal interests. This has worked in Kenya, and thank you very much, Your Excellency President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, for the tenacity and the steadfastness that you have guided this handshake up to today. For those who want to mutilate the handshake, belittle the handshake, one lesson they should learn is to look at Libya. Libya was once a territory we all respected. It is no more. Let's keep the handshake and the legacy of President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Thank you. Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome to Punchline Africa TV, broadcasting all the way from Nairobi. This is Africa Business Program. Is a show, one of our flagship shows. It talks about businesses in Africa, engages businessmen, calls consultants, talks about economy, resources, how we better use our resources, the oil industry, the gas industry in Africa. Today we have the honor to introduce this show again, and it will be, taken down throughout by Ruth Wanjiru, who will be here to tell us. She's an economist herself. She's a money financial expert. She will tell us what is happening in Africa about businesses, the ups and the downs, the stock exchange. But today's topic is simple. Ruth, the topic is the impact of the Chinese businesses or businessmen, businesswomen, Chinese in Africa. Across the African continent, most people the Chinese have come. They have come in big numbers. We have gone home and borrowed their money. And at times, conditions are becoming very difficult. But let me give you your chance to introduce yourself to the panel and test the microphones.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Yes.
Thank you for hosting me today. And I'm Ruth Wanjiru, and I'm an economist, business and financial advisor. And I'm happy to be with you in the show today to discuss more about Chinese and their impact on businesses in Africa. I think they're here, and in large numbers, both in the government space, and now we can see them coming down even to the level of common mwananchi. We recently saw that they now in Gikomba and in other small market that have previously been left for common mwananchi. If we go to South Africa, we have seen them they have a village, areas that are called Chinese villages in different countries in Africa. So we cannot ignore that fact, and the fact that they're coming with a lot of different mindset. They're coming and exploring the gaps that are there in Africa and filling them. But what are the impact and the implication of these Chinese coming to fill these gaps that have been reserved for common mwananchi? So what is the role of the government, those people who have been trusted with the leadership of Africa? What are they doing to ensure that the common mwananchi is taken care of, and that the such businesses are not going to affect or take back Africa into slavery? Yeah. So.
Yeah, African slavery. But let me be very honest, and let's we Africans be candid and have this debate. We borrow their money.
Yeah.
They have worked for this money. And I want you as a consultant and an economist to tell me exactly, you borrowed this, you go to China, borrow this guy's money. He only comes here, and you are the one who has called them. Chinese businessmen will not be coming to this country if we Africans don't go there and tell them what is sold, what can be sold, and how you can lease. You interact quite a lot with small scale farmers and traders in town.
Yeah.
Who leases those buildings? Who leases the leases? The shops? Who gives them the leases? You know, there are people who are selling their leases for 6 years. He sells the lease and goes 6 years, leaves the Chinese to do the business. Why are we turning around to blame the Chinese when we ourselves are the ones bringing them to small industry, to small farming? Soon they will go to farming. I believe there are some people looking to buy farms.
Yeah.
And it is because ourselves, we go there and tell them this industry is doing very well, that industry is doing very well. What do you think?
I think I'll start from where you started in terms of debt. We are going to their countries and borrowing a lot of money for our project and for projects and big infrastructure things that we are doing in Africa. So while we do that, we are finding that, it's all about the bargaining power of either supplier or the bargaining power of customer. So in this case, Chinese, when we go borrow their money, they have more bargaining power to us, and we are able to give them a lot of favors or leeways for them to come into the country. And as we speak right now, the reason why they are here so much is because we have their money, they have leeways, they have come and studied our economy as Africa, as our economy in Africa. They have found gaps and they have filled them very well. Areas that maybe previously we as a government or as a people have not been able to do that previously. If we go, for example, to the fact that if they have to trade in Africa, they have to bring their goods through the ports and all that, we still find that we are giving them favors as compared to our local traders. So when we give them advantage of our normal Kenyan or a normal African, then that means they are going to thrive and they are going to have a lot of advantages. Maybe they're even enjoying some of the subsidies and other things that we cannot be able maybe to explain. And when it comes to that, for any big infrastructural project that comes through, we know that those that are involved or those that are already trusted with the governance of some of these projects, they still are the people who guides. And they also, sometimes I see that they also pull some of the business project to themselves. And when that happens, it's going to wound the common citizens of this continent. But more so, when we come down to the level that you're speaking about leasing, building, and other small trading businesses, when I come to you as a normal trader, I think in terms, we've seen even this previously, that as long as you have money, if I have an empty business or empty space, why would I not rent it to you? I'll go ahead and rent it to you, especially if you can be able to do that at a higher markup or a better price than any other person. Why would I not give it to you?
Let me get this one, because so many people, so many governments, it's not only in Kenya.
Yeah.
It is everywhere in Africa.
Yeah.
In Uganda, in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, in Congo, in South Sudan, Juba, in Tanzania.
Yeah.
President Magufuli, we shall play a clip of President Magufuli, Pombe Magufuli, telling, wondering, and I think production started, let them start arranging that, so that you can see the impact, the seriousness of what is happening in Africa. We call them. You have just said that if there is a markup, are we more interested in the money than interested in keeping our national integrity? The shops belong to Africans. The Africans are the ones leasing these shops to the Chinese. Then later on we turn around when there are very many. Now, whose failure is it? Yes, a Chinese gets a visa of entry. We have formed East African Community, and we stamp one visa for tourism, which takes him to Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania, Congo, and South Sudan. When he reaches South Sudan, he decides that he has found a warehouse where goods can be brought and be sold. The goods that in China are actually not being sold. Now, you, the warehouse person, selling the lease, do you do what we call due diligence on the person before you sell your lease?
Thank you very much. I think for a common mwananchi, when a common mwananchi is dealing with another citizen or another foreigner or another investor, it becomes very, very difficult for a common mwananchi to start watching or going to the background search of a new national. By the time people are here in Kenya already, that means they have already been voted by the government, because there are already processes and in place to ensure that by the time foreigners are coming into place, they have already been vetted, they have been given the right visa. So by the time they are coming to the level of trading, that means they have even, for example, maybe they have even incorporated business, they have been given licenses, they have the proper work permits. So there are a lot of things that should have been put in place by the time we are coming to normal contracting of a business case. So I think there's a link that is really missing, especially when it comes to foreigners working in any country, or especially in Africa. I think there's a lot of the government can really do a lot in the background, especially in helping the common mwananchi to know the people that have already landed in a country.
To stamp out all these who disappear.
Exactly.
Yes. Now, but so whom do we blame here?
I think the governments in Africa need to change their mindset and processes.
All the people. I think all of us need, Ruth, with due respect.
Yes.
We all in Africa need to change our mindset.
Exactly.
We allow the Chinese. We sell the shops to the Chinese. We make arrangements. We tell them that these things can be sold in Kenya for huge money while you are buying it. You see, Africans are very good at information giving.
Yeah.
Chinese have not told you why their goods. 30 years ago, China was the poorest country. It only had rice. It could not feed its people. Today, China feeds its people, and it has a surplus.
Yeah.
So when you go there to tell a man who has a surplus, what does he do? The man will run very fast. The man will run very fast to come to you. Part of the problem that has killed us as Africans is our mindset. And that's one. Not the government, but people. Corruption in Africa, for example, it is the people.
Yeah.
It's not the government. All of us play part. For example, you want a passport. Why don't you go 20 days in advance?
True.
Why don't you go 20 days in advance and get that passport? Why do you wait? You are traveling on Friday. Then you go to the immigration on Wednesday. And then you want a passport. You are going to be forced to pay extra money. We are not proactive. We are reactive. And that type of mechanism has created us where we are. For example, we go and borrow these people's money. Have you sat down and seen people who want to kill these Chinese now in China, in Kenya, in Uganda? People want to beat them up.
Yeah.
I saw a Ugandan trader fighting the Chinese. And there was a lot of police. So, but here we are. This is the only country in the world that is looking at Africa. The former colonial masters have left us.
Yeah.
They no longer give us the loans. If loans come, they tell us that we should wear white cloth, all of us, before they give you the loan.
Yeah.
I mean, in so many things.
Yes.
They tell us conditions of human rights. You must uphold human rights, rule of law, before the loans are given. So, given that situation, the mindset of African people has not changed. Things have not worked. So what do we do in these circumstances?
Thank you very much. I think I'll go to the background of China because there's maybe something that the reason why maybe we are not trying or we are not taking them so seriously. I think let's just understand something about their background first. When you go to China industrialization is everywhere. It's done at home. Most homes actually are converted into industry where people can manufacture. And this is something that runs down even in the schooling system. They are shown in terms of how to work and how to be innovative, how to be able to create different stuff. What is a market? What is a global market looking at? And from that, they are able to create or ensure that their mind is creative enough to be able to develop the things that are going on globally. And we saw recently, even in the fights in the economy and trade wars that we've seen even between the US and China. And we thought that China can easily go down. But we have seen even in that, it's still overcoming, maybe with a bit of challenge. But of course, they have already their mindset set to be able to adopt to some of the challenges that they are going through. So for them, they have already figured it out and they are bringing up their people from that perspective that we will provide every solution that is needed in the world. For example, if we go to most of the, we already know that most of manufacturing and even plant or even most of the global economies have their warehouses and manufacturing plants in China. So meaning that Chinese already know most of the specs of the stuff that are needed globally. So saying that, we cannot ignore them in terms of providing the solutions of the world. When they come to Africa, this is their playing ground. This is where their market is. We can come here and maybe say that Africa, we are not going to change our mindset. Yet we haven't changed that because we already idolize foreigners so much. And I can tell you from a fact that I can easily go to a shop of a Chinese, buy things in cash, but I cannot come to you as an African and buy from you in credit. That is how much we also have our own issues as Africans. And if we do not change that in terms of how we support each other, then other foreigners will always come find their own ways and work with those leeways and divide us. Then and as we can see right now with China has come, it's not going anywhere, and it's going to control a lot of stuff if we do not take care and if our leaders don't take precaution very early. For example, I'll give you an example, and maybe from the fact that from the issue that you're talking about, the Pombe Magufuli, we saw him rejecting a big project when he said that it's not going to be of much help to them, especially because of the conditions that have been put forward. But you see, that is one leader in Africa. How many other leaders are putting that? We've seen wheelbarrow pushers in some of the infrastructure projects being Chinese or other foreigners. Why should that happen when they are already a citizen in that particular country or in other countries? There's a lot we can be able to put up together.
Okay, fine. So the problem is two-pronged.
Yeah.
One is the question of not only the government, but also the question of our own habits.
Yeah.
We go to these people's shops and buy things in cash. But when it comes to an African shop, he would like to take this thing on credit, and it would take him 200 days to pay, at times not to pay.
Exactly.
So we have a problem ourselves. Let's look at another thing that has stagnated our businesses. The filling of forms. When you go to China, you want to buy the goods, the honesty of the Chinese. A man, you leave him with $50,000 and tell him, I want these goods in Kampala. They will indeed arrive. You just go to one of these countries in Africa and buy tomatoes and leave him with tomatoes in Kampala to deliver these tomatoes in Nairobi. He will not deliver them. So how do you deal with most of these small scale farm traders, those complaining of spare parts and so on? Have we raised our integrity status on those dealing with people, Africa to Africa? Do we venture into other African countries to find out what can be delivered? For example, everybody is running to deliver avocados to China. But there are certain African countries that don't have avocado. Egypt likes avocado. Nobody has said, have the embassies, the government, the foreign missions done enough to expose the black person, one, in trading amongst themselves, two, in showing the cases of goods that are in those countries?
Thank you very much. One thing that I can say is that they normally say that if you want to hide something from an African, put it in a book or information. One thing that we don't normally do as African is have information. When it comes to integrity, issues of integrity, for example, which are, I think, are a big thing. And we have seen that from West Africa, South Africa, Eastern Africa. We lack that honesty and integrity. I don't know if it's a trust issue that is all over us. We don't trust each other. And as a result, business become very difficult. But when foreigners come, and maybe they come from, even if they come from the West, and now the Chinese are here, or even other people, we are easily able to trust them and to be able to trust them more than doing what we are supposed to be doing. And we forget ourselves and we embrace the foreigners more. But I think there's something we need to come back to ourselves together and learn and say that, you know what, we need to support each other. We need to be up for each other. But if the whole fact of idolizing foreigners is what is really bringing us down, I think we should reach to a point of not embracing or really idolizing them. Embracing is not the problem, but idolizing. But as you say that, there's still a whole issue here, which I would want to demystify. When it comes to how they come and land some of these contracts, for example, the way you say we are not, for example, able to know what is happening in Egypt as much as there's a market for avocados, yet China is there, has just come, and we are able to supply to them. We can already see there's a tit for tat between the African countries and China, because China is offering a lot of money and infrastructure project in Africa. Then we find out what they really want as well, and we want to quickly fill that gap, even if it's still expensive to take goods to China more than other African countries or even other countries that are nearer. I know the same market is there also in areas like UAE, which are not very far, or even the nearer Europe, but still people will still go to China. when we focus, especially, I think my main concern is when we focus to one country alone. When we focus to China alone, then there's a big problem. We need to have a mix. Even if the other people are coming and saying we need to have human rights issue, of course they are important as well, and we need to have a mix. But we shouldn't look that we are really focusing in one country, because what happens with that now? We are giving the other person more power, or the other country more power. We are giving China more power when we it's like putting all your eggs in one basket. And if we over concentrate with it, then as Africa, we are going to have problems in future. We are investing wrong things for our children in the future. One, because these people will already have traveled through the African state, they already know the infrastructure issue. They're already supporting the big project through the services and other things that they are doing. So they know our countries better than even we know ourselves through the empowerment. Secondly, I also find a lot of gaps, especially when some of these projects are being done. I wonder whether there is some kind of, as much as the common mwananchi is not so much informed, we inform the other party more than we inform and we don't find that gap that the common mwananchi can come and fill. And as we continue to do, it's like the people on top there and the investors have more information than people on the ground. Yes. So even if things are done wrongly on the ground, nobody will know.
Okay.
Nobody will know. Also, before you go ahead, yes, there's another thing also that needs to be done, especially from an African perspective. Even if these contracts are being done with major, with these donors and funders and people who are coming to help us, let me call it helping us, because they are helping us fund this project. I think some of these contract and things should be put in some public domain at some point, and because most of the constitution want public participation, so that at least people can be able to know where we headed. And future leaders, because leadership is a succession thing, future leaders can be informed. Otherwise, it's going to be a case of, like, say, DRC Congo, where sometimes no one knows what happens.
Yeah, they said that in DRC Congo, there are people who don't know that Mobutu died.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Yeah.
They think President Mobutu is still the president. Yeah. But let's concentrate on that point that you have made.
Yeah.
Public participation. As we bring in Magafulu, Pombe Magafulu, the president, they prepare the tape, the video, where he said he has had enough. They told us that they would build this. Then they said, once you build the port here, they don't want anybody to build another port. That is colonial mentality, which Magafulu has refused.
Yeah.
The government of Jubilee in Kenya took over a railway that had already been negotiated. The project was already done by Kibaki. Uhuru just implemented the project. Uhuru came in to finalize the project. That was already arranged. It was already gone in terms of money. They had already done that. That is the much of money that they will pay. The public participation, thing that is going on is one thing that some companies will not like their public affairs to be put in public.
Yeah.
For example, if you are trading with somebody who wants his trading issues to be kept private, they will ask for that clause, that we are not going to publicize this contract until 5 years or 10 years or 3 years.
Yeah.
Like the question of Zimbabwe, where they said until 15 years are over, you cannot change the constitution of Republic of Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Therefore, the white man was politically gone by politics, but economically very present in Zimbabwe. He continued to till the land, continued to take everything out of the land, but the black man was given politics. Mugabe was given to talk, but not to have food to eat. So, some of these contracts, as you say, they should be made public, such that people can, in God. I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Because if they are not public, Look at the things that are coming right now.
Yeah.
People are talking about these contracts. They say SGR. We could have known how much we were going to pay. Is the land, was a feasibility study done? The land in Kenya is a private land. It is not national land. The cost of a rere in Kenya is more expensive. Why? You have to buy, compensate, and resettle the people you have displaced on the way.
Yeah.
The cost in Ethiopia is less, it's cheap, very low. Because Ethiopia, the land is owned by the state. Djibouti, the land is owned by the state. Tanzania, the land is owned by the state. And the people in Kenya need to understand these facts. We need to talk about them every day so that the people can understand. Because there are people right now blaming the president for the SGR. Some of them are saying, why did you build the SGR? Yet these are the same people using 4 hours. They are in Mombasa. They are used to 12 hours by a slow car of 40 miles per hour. Stop here, stop there, stop there. Now, when this one of 4 hours came, they are still querying. Indeed, it goes to mindset. What is your position?
I think, let me say that first, I think leadership is all about transparency. And whenever there's a level of transparency, you will see that people, because people are mostly leadership oriented, they will follow. We all have different kind of leadership, and it's upon any leader to find out which suits him best and which works best for both to ensure that there is enough economic growth and to ensure that there is no limitation in terms of the project that needs to be done. Of course, projects need to be done, that is for sure. And if you mention in the case of the way land is owned in Kenya, yes, land is privately owned in Kenya, and in other countries I've seen, even in the US, mostly the land belongs to the government and people are leased for a number of years based on that it's 99 years or other years. But since that didn't happen in some of the country, it can be very, very difficult to reverse that now, and it can be such a difficult task to do now, and I doubt it can even work based on the kind of the legal framework and the things that most of the country are now more elite and they're able to know their rights, so it's very difficult, and we cannot be able to go back there. Yes, that means also the projects are going to become more difficult because of compensation, but that is not even the problem. But the way of compensation is what the process of compensation is what needs to be looked into, because I think one thing that really the best thing that maybe governments can do to be able to satisfy their citizen, especially when it comes to project, is things like review mechanism. You've mentioned something like feasibility studies. Even if the main project is not brought into the light, but the feasibility study, let the main issues. It doesn't have to have the details, but the main issue in that feasibility study because just before the projects are done, it should be brought to the light of the people. Then the review mechanism. There's a whole issue about monitoring and evaluation of some of these projects. What are the arising issues that are coming on board, so that people can be able to know that as the project proceeds, then these are the issues to find out. And that will tell you that when some of these projects happen, there are some people who have, I call it insider information, because there are some people who have more information than the rest. That's why you had when we were told that the SGR will not move from Naivasha to Kisumu. People are frustrated because there are people who had information that is going to pass by here, and they had bought their land to ensure that they are compensated by the government at that particular point in time. So, if we
that is all corruption.
Yeah, exactly.
Because why do you go and buy land in speculative manner?
Exactly.
When you have not seen this,
exactly
the feasibility study. It is really one of those issues that Africa needs to sort out. Viewers, thank you very much for you continue watching us. But if you are joining us, we are talking about Chinese trade in Africa. How far in your country, wherever you are in Africa, how far has it impacted you? How is the impact? What is the impact? Are there many Chinese in your down marketplaces? Are there people selling cows and meat in your butcheries? Is it?
Yeah.
Is it butcheries? Yes.
They're doing the donkey one. The Chinese are doing the donkey.
No, don't talk about the donkey. Is there some meat? Do you find Chinese behind the selling of commodities that could have been sold by Africans?
Yeah.
But what is the bottom line? What relationship do we want with them?
Yeah.
Because here we are, we go to their country, borrow their money. They have worked for this money. They are lending us the money they have worked hard for. And they are coming to us thinking they are coming to friends. But they are going to have a very big problem. And this problem can create a big, you saw, it can create China also to start to say, if you are mistreating our citizens, we are not going to be part and parcel of your games.
Yeah.
And apparently now in the world, the entire world, America has collapsed.
Yeah.
America talks. It wants to fight. But America is not giving us guidance. Britain is already in chaos with Brexit and other things. It is looking for self-determination when countries are looking for unification. So we have got our policies wrong. France is spreading rumors and a fight and a innuendo. You can see the proxy war in this region.
Yeah.
The proxy war in East Africa, where every East African is not aware of what is going to happen tomorrow. When you see a president of Burundi not coming for a meeting in Arusha, fearing to be overthrown, there is something wrong. These Western countries have left us. And we are only now left with one friend, China. Where is other big money coming from? I have not seen of late Britain giving 200 million pounds. They are doing some small projects. But we haven't seen America saying, I'm giving Kenya money to improve its hospitals. We are left at talk point. Is there something that we can do? Let's don't answer it. Let's get Magufuli as we rest and wait. We listen to the tape and come back. Thank you very much. Viewers, don't go away. Keep it coming. Africa Business.
Bilioni 115 waliolipwa kule Bagamoyo. Kama wapo wakazi wa Bagamoyo, inawezekana hawafiki 20. Watu ni wa mjini humu na wala hela hizo zimepotea. Na wawekezaji hao wanakuja na masharti ya ajabu, ni ya kichaa tu anayeweza kuyakubali. Anakuambia akijenga bandari pale, uhakikishe uendelezi bandari yoyote kutoka Tanga mpaka kusini Mtwara. Maana yake you are not allowed to construct any port. Ndio masharti. Wanataka ukishawapa pale, huruhusiwi hata kwenda kucollect revenue. TRA mnaisema iko hapa. Hairuhusiwi kukanyagwa pale wakishafanya investment. Wanatakiwa uwape guarantee ya kwanza bila kuwauliza miaka 33. Lakini ndio nawaeleza sasa. Lakini unatakiwa uwape rizi tofauti na sheria za nchi for 99 years. Na huruhusiwi hata kwenda kumuuliza atakaye kwenda kuwekeza pale. Na wao wawe na mandate ya kuichukua hiyo eneo kama ardhi yao. Lakini mnatakiwa mlipe compensation ya kazi watakayoifanya ya kuchimba ile bandari. Masharti mengi ya ajabu. Kwa hiyo najaribu kuzungumza haya ili kusudi sisi wa Tanzania tumechezewa mno miaka mingi. We are supposed to change. Na watu wamekuwa wakizunguka, they do a lot of lobbying. Lakini ni nchi gani hiyo ambayo unajenga bandari ya Dar es Salaam? Tunachimba sasa hivi kutoka Beti 0 mpaka namba 10 kwa gharama ya trilioni 1.2. tumekopa fedha, tumetumia fedha yetu na contractor yupo na inawezekana at the end of this year watamaliza, tutakuwa tunapata mizigo karibu mara 3 zaidi ya mizigo inayoingia. Leo unakwenda tena una dampu hela pale Bagamoyo. Maana yake si unaiua hii bandari ambayo imeachwa na Nyerere. Tumeshabinafsisha maeneo karibu 6 kwa kuwaweka, sitaki kuwataja, ninyi mnajua. Sasa mambo mengine ni kufikiria tu. Sasa bandari ya Tanga tunaiendeleza ili mikonge ya ndugu Shamte iwe inasafirishwa vizuri. Tumefanya lobbying kama nchi. Lile bomba la kutoka Hoima mpaka Tanga, bomba ambalo ni refu kuliko mabomba yote ambayo ni heated gas duniani, limewekwa Tanzania. Tuna promote ile bandari ya Tanga. Leo mtu aje akwambie hii usiendeleze kwa sababu tunakuendelezea Bagamoyo. Tunataka tufungue bandari ya Mtwara. Tumefanya investment ya bilioni 337 ili kusudi mafuta yanayosafirishwa yasiwe yanateremkia Dar es Salaam, yanayoenda kusini, kusudi wananchi wa kule bei iwe chini. Tunatengeneza barabara ya kutoka Mtwara mpaka Mbamba Bay na kuconnect mpaka Nkata Bay ili mizigo ya Malawi iwe inaenda mpaka Mtwara, tupate uchumi. Mtu anakuambia msiendeleze. Bandari ya Lindi tusiendeleze. Bandari ya Kilwa ambao ni the oldest port katika Afrika, tangu kwenye business za barter trade wakina bidi mapipa hujui nani Matuta walivyokuwa wanakuja mwaka 1832, tusiendeleze. Sasa mnaweza mkaelewa, unajua business ni kutumia akili. Ninyi mna survive kwa sababu mnatumia brain. Pamoja na kero hizi za TRA na nini. Na ndio maana tumekutana hapa tudiskasi ili hizi problem zingine tuzisafishe haraka haraka.
Thank you very much. I think Magufuli summarizes it all.
Clear.
What do you say?
I like the way he's summarized to his people. He's told them what they didn't know, that these are the conditions that have been given to us and we can't attain them. You know, some of the conditions to the contracts that we are given, they don't make sense. But sometimes, looks like sometimes African, we are too shy to say no. Or we see as if the donor or the some of these the Chinese are going to we are trying not to make them angry. We just want to make them happy. But you can see that Magufuli is really demystifying the issues and telling them, look, we cannot take some of these things for 99 years or for 33 years or for the kind of condition that you are bringing to our country are unreasonable, not only to us, but our people and our future generations. And that is where we should get as African, and especially African leaders. And another point maybe that really compromises some of this condition or some of these contracts, and maybe we compromise and we have them signed before even having thought about it, is because there's a corruption element as well. Some leaders want to just ensure they have their element somewhere, they know where they're going to do their contracts and businesses without a care of the world where the rest of the people are going to go, or what they're going to do, or the implication of some of these big projects. And I think we should get, as much as we shouldn't be so much business averse or project averse, but at the same time, we should have actually some of the level of firmness that this continent need for the future. I think I want to point and say that the other thing that we don't normally do as Africa is read contracts. We don't want to read and engage. And even if we read, we want to ignore some of the things that we have even power to push back to even investors and tell them, look, consider this clause A, B, C, D, and then bring it back. Because we, at the negotiation stage, we have the right. We have a window. But at the close of the deal, then we cannot be able to come back and start talking and say that, oh, they did this or they did that. And also the other things our leaders should consider, because they're the ones at that level of contracting. They should be able to focus on the future. We have seen the politics of Africa. They are very, very similar from South Africa. Even we go from Cape Town all the way to Egypt or wherever. The politics of Africa are very similar. At some point in time, there's going to be election. But whatever you have been contracted at a certain point in time is going to successfully be taken to another person. And they have to push business. They have to push the project. So if there's going to be a level of economic growth and us as Africa moving forward, then we have to take that in mind. You cannot take your term as a leader to only 4, 5, or 3 years and say that whatever will have been achieved by this time. We have to have that level of foresight if we have to make this continent better, or if we have to make this continent better. And I like the way Magufuli has argued in that clip.
Thank you very much. You've elaborately done it, elaborated the situation, told us what we should do and expect and not expect. Before we leave, let's bring another DVD, another clip.
Yes.
Of people talking about jobs.
Yes.
Because you are a financial consultant. Africa business means business.
Yeah.
This story will make you as an African be very courageous. When we are in international agencies and international conferences, we told people we are creating employment in Africa. The West, the Americans tell us they have created employment in Africa. But this story will make you cry. When Mrs. Byanyima, the head of Oxfam, confronts the men who said they have brought, we have given Africa employment, we are doing this. But the multinational international company is the one taking the profit, which links up to, are we trading for ourselves or we are trading for those people? Okay. Let's bring that clip for now.
Say, honestly, this is a very one-sided panel. Today, the U.S. basically has the lowest unemployment rate ever, the lowest black unemployment rate ever, the lowest youth unemployment ever. We've actually reduced poverty around the world. No one's talking about that at all. So why don't we talk about that?
The gentleman who said we've just talked taxes and that jobs are there and there's low and unemployment rates are low. Let me tell you something. We're talking about jobs, but the quality of those jobs. I can tell you about a company. I took a taxi in Nairobi recently. I was charged less than $2 for a taxi ride. Where in the world do you go in a taxi for less than $2? I asked the taxi driver. He was from one of these companies, I won't mention which. I said, how much are you getting out of this? He said 20% must go to the global company that owns the network. So I said, then what about the rest? He said, the rest I have to share with the owner of the taxi out of $2. I asked him where he rents his home, where he lives. He said they rent a room, 3 taxi drivers. They sleep in turns, 6 hours, 5 hours, because none of them can afford to rent a room. That's the job. Those are the jobs we are being told about, that globalization is bringing jobs. The quality of the jobs matter. It matters. 3.4 billion people who earn $5.5 a day are on the verge, are just a medical bill away from sinking into poverty. They don't have health care. They are just a crop failure away from sinking back into poverty. They have no crop insurance. So don't tell me about low levels of unemployment. You are counting the wrong things. You're not counting dignity of people. You're counting exploited people.
Wow. Wow.
Although she did not mention the name of the taxi company, but you and I can tell the name of the taxi company.
We can guess.
We can guess because we're in Kenya.
Yes.
Mrs. Byanyima, the wife of Dr. Besigye, is the chair. She's the managing director. She's the head executive director of Oxfam, a British company that does charity work in Africa.
Yeah.
She's standing to tell us the taxi drivers and $2. They are paid $2 for a trip. But at the end of the day, the $2, they don't have the money that they are left with. They share a room. They sleep in tents. I tell you, you come at 10. Don't come less after 10 or before 10. I must sleep between 7 o'clock to 10. Then another one slept from 10 o'clock to about 2 o'clock. Then from 2 o'clock to 6. So people have to go and sleep a bit, go and pick the cab to drive. But the amount of money that they make does not stay in the country. The company takes all the money because the digital platform is in the United States of America. Then the taxi driver, most of these Uber taxi drivers have just hired cars. You need to pay the owner of the car. How much money do you take home? That is the tragedy of international business against African business. What's your say? Your final touch and your final comment?
I think it's a sad reality. It's a sad reality, especially because we know it's true. I think I've also been into a taxi ride of more or less the same amount. But the worst is that I think the issue of innovation is something that we've left to the foreigners. And we've come to a point that maybe we don't want to trust ourselves to a level that we can be able to innovate African solutions for African people. And that is where we are failing. Because if we continue not teaching our people to have African solutions for its people, then we are still going to continue to being in the same problem. And I think also there's one thing that also we should really support. Buying the solutions that come from Kenya. And I can give you an example. For example, when M-Pesa came, it's a solution that other people could not understand, but only maybe Kenyan and East African could understand. And that's why it's done very well. But what are other solutions that have come? I think after M-Pesa, no other innovation has really come to overtake it. The rest actually are coming from global mindset. But you see, the African solutions are not going to be made through global solutions. They are going to be made through the African innovation. And that means, to me, what that means is that we should be able to support our people enough, because if, for example, that taxi person cannot be able to sleep until a certain point, then can such a person be able to sit and think of something that he can come up with to bring a solution to this continent? That will never happen. We'll see overburdened African, angry African, overworked African, overtaxed Africans, people who are not happy and people who don't even know themselves. But I think it has to reach a point that it has to be deliberate, something very intentional, that they decide that this is what we decide as African, that we can be able to come with our own solution, whether it's technological, whether it's financial, and also infiltrating the systems as much as we can be. And I'll give you an example of something that you mentioned earlier. We cannot say that African governments are not educated. They go and benchmark worldwide with the best systems out there. But I think the issue of coming back and cascading that back to the people, it becomes very, very difficult. And we can see as a result, there will always be gap, because the knowledge is up there, the common mwananchi has nothing. And I think there's a whole gap between our governments and its people. And it's high time our governments calm down to the level of common mwananchi and engage, even in terms of public participation. they should come down. If we have to, if the Africans have to support their budgets, the thing that they're imposed on, the fiscal policies, anything that the governments are proposing, I think it's high time the governments come down to the level of common mwananchi and understand what are the issues on the ground. We have very bright people. We have very bright Kenyans. We have very bright Africans, but we have not been able to reap the benefits because even their support mechanism, we are not able to support them enough to come in front and be able to showcase their talents. Or even if they showcase, people are still expected to still run around for their day-to-day activity or their daily bread. So I think there should be a way, and that should be cascaded even to the education system. We saw for example, in Kenya, as you are saying, the technical colleges that used to train people on the issues, on the main the issues on the ground, most of them were scrapped, and we came up with
some curriculum.
Yeah, some curriculum and universities,
which is causing more problems.
More problems.
Yes, when I went to school, I was told J.A. Bright.
Yes.
Most students don't know which book now to read. Ogundipe. Is Ogundipe still there?
I have not heard of it. Makonde, you can imagine.
What is the latest book that they read?
We saw the new curriculum. Most of them had even a lot of issues before they were, because we have
before they were released.
Released, yeah.
Okay, I think to wind up, we've done very well within 1 hour.
Oh.
And we've gathered quite a lot. Let's listen to the comments that people made.
Okay.
Atanas Mwangi from Nairobi said, I'm not for the benefit of the nation, and not for the benefit, but earlier on, Atanas had said, Tawish Samuel was watching, and thank you very much for watching. Atanas Mwangi said the session is very informative, and Atanas Mwangi said it's not for the benefit of the nation. Peter Akom from United States of America was watching. Peter Akom said, unfortunately, I think you can read this yourself. Yeah.
Saying, unfortunately, African so-called leaders are taking kickbacks before the loan is given, at the same time not investing in the right projects, and money is being shared among themselves. So China, you can see China. So China is taking advantage of this corruption in Africa to take their countries in order to recover back their money.
Okay, that is it. Oh, roasting maize on the streets. Oh, John Clark says he's not happy. He doesn't want to see Chinese roasting maize on the streets.
Sad.
Then Abdel Salam from Mogadishu. China signed a deal with Somalia to build us roads. But the deal was unfair and void, so it cancelled it. And Somalia don't want to be a province of China. Hey, those are comments from Abdisamad Ali. Somalia diaspora scrutinized the deal and it was found very unfair. You see, the people themselves in the diaspora, they went to China and they compared the amount of money that they were looking. They told their government, don't do it. Atanas Mwangi says, just like a Tanzania president, we all know the terms and the conditions of the loan, but the kickbacks makes our leaders blind. You are aware of the SGR that brought a problem for the former Minister of Transport. The amount of money that he took. He's not bothered whether Kenya will be mortgaged or taken. He took the money. He's happy. He's a happy man. He has no case. He has not gone to committee. So corruption also plays a role. Then finally, Abdel Salam Ali, it is important that those who sign must know how to read.
Exactly.
Parting shot for your program. This is your show. I was helping you. And when you come with your guests next time, you can handle it the way it is. Your parting shot.
I think I can say it's good to go into the details of some of this contract and be able to dispute things that are not right It's time our leadership take time in terms of evaluations and monitoring of some of these projects. And it's also high time that the leaders of these African countries consider the future of their nations and of their people. It's not all about one person. It's all about everyone and the future of this continent. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ruth Wanjiru Mwangi. Thank you very much for every contribution you have made in our show. This is the show that will be coming. Which days will you be coming?
For Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Tuesdays and Thursdays,
yes.
So she will be back on Thursday at 3 p.m. Don't miss it. She will have more business news. She will tell you how you do the tenders, how you fill your forms, what is required in Kenya. Don't miss such a show. I want to thank Professor Piero Lumumba for having given me one note. For the first time on Sunday, I had not touched this money. I touched it on Sunday. This is the 1,000 note. It looks excellent, but I'm told the 2,000, the 51 is very good.
The 51 and 100 looks very good.
Very good.
Yes.
I am looking for those. When I go to the bank, I'll try to ask them if they can give me those notes. But this is a very good Kenyan note, the new one, which is here available, and it is, let me see, yes, it's very difficult to, you see, any note. If you compare this with the dollar, that's the most important thing.
Yes.
The paper is very difficult. Talk about the dollar. A chimpanzee or a gorilla swallowed $19,000 in Nigeria.
Oh, sad.
Isn't it sad?
Is it true?
In Africa, a man stole the money. Then he said the gorilla stole it. So the zoo cannot kill the gorilla. They love it. Aha. Jamen, Africa. Africa. Our Africa. Africa. We don't know what to say. We don't know what to do. Yeah. I think John McKay is serious. He says address the issue of Uber and Taxify. They are looting from drivers. Okay, there you are. That's another topic for you. How much do you pay? Do Africans get anything out of this Uber? You find people everywhere, small cars running everywhere. Are they getting anything at all? Are they?
I think the problem is the value chain. When there are so many people in the value chain, by the time the last person in the value chain is getting something, then it's going to be very few coins. And I think what should be done is to eliminate some of the value chain, because as you've heard in that clip from Mrs. Bisije, she said that there is an international company, there is the local owner of the company, and maybe there are other shareholders in that company. Then there is an owner of the taxi. Then there is a driver who has been employed. So you can imagine already 5 or 6 people in that value chain. Then the value
goes down.
It goes down.
Thank you very much. We shall have that topic in one of our series every Tuesday and Thursday, 3 p.m. Tune in to Miss Ruth Wanjiru Mwangi. She's the business lady here. She knows figures. I don't know much, but today I took her on because of the political angle the Chinese come into Africa. And therefore we have interacted so well. We want to thank our viewers all over the whole world, wherever you are. Thank you very much, from America, from Russia, from China itself. Remember 2 things. You borrow this money from these Chinese. They worked hard. Don't mistreat them. Give them some respect and allow them, explain to them that there are certain areas where you are going. You should not go to sell maize, but go and build up another factory that can produce the goods like in China. And the people will work there. That is how we should tell these people candidly on table. Because it has happened before in Uganda, where Idi Amin put all the Asians on the plane and gave them 72 days to leave Uganda. Because the Chinese have a culture. They don't eat too many times a day. They only eat macaroni. What is it called? Rundos. For us, we eat a full meal. If you get a managing director with a Range Rover, with a Mercedes-Benz, BMW, the latest, he wants to put it there while it is being ironed. No, being washed. And enjoy the washing while he's eating, right from main course, dessert, appetizer. Chinese eat on the noodles and go to work. Let's get our people working. I hope this program has touched you wherever you are. On behalf of Punchline Africa TV, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much, Ruth.
Thank you very much.
Welcome again.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.